Colosseum. Nearly 2,000 years after its completion, it still stands as one of the most recognizable structures on Earth. Every year, over 4 million tourists crane their necks upward, trying to comprehend how ancient Romans built something so massive, so complex, so enduring without any modern machinery. But here's a question that rarely gets asked. What would it actually cost to build the Colosseum today? With all our modern technology, our tower cranes and concrete pumps and computer-aided design, could we even afford to replicate what Vespasian and Titus accomplished in the first century? The answer might genuinely surprise you. Let's start with what the Romans actually spent. Ancient sources are frustratingly vague about exact figures, but historians estimate the original construction cost somewhere between 100 and 200 million sesterces. Converting ancient currency to modern values is tricky, but using economic indicators like wheat prices and labour wages, that translates to roughly 500 million to over $1 billion today. And remember, the Romans had one significant advantage we don't: slave labour. Tens of thousands of Jewish slaves, captured after the brutal siege of Jerusalem in 70 AD, provided much of the workforce. The Colosseum was literally built on the spoils of war and funded by treasures looted from the Temple of Jerusalem. To calculate a realistic modern cost, we need to examine three major categories: raw materials, skilled labour, and specialised engineering systems. Let's take them one by one. The Colosseum required an estimated 100,000 cubic metres of travertine limestone, quarried from Tivoli about 20 miles outside Rome. Today, high-quality travertine costs between $50 and $150 per square foot, depending on grade and finish. For a project of this scale, we're looking at $200 to $300 million just for the exterior stone cladding. And that's before factoring in the logistical nightmare of quarrying, transporting, and precision cutting that much material to exact specifications. Then there's the concrete. The Romans were absolute masters of concrete construction, developing a formula using volcanic ash that has proven more durable than most modern mixtures. The Colosseum used approximately 300,000 tons of Roman concrete in its foundations and vaulted corridors. Modern high-strength concrete runs about $150 per cubic yard. That adds another $40 to $60 million to our growing estimate. Don't forget the iron clamps that held the massive stone blocks together. The Colosseum originally used an estimated 300 tons of iron brackets and pins. Medieval scavengers stripped most of it out over centuries, which is why you see those distinctive holes pockmarking the travertine facade today. Modern structural steel would cost several million more. Here's where things get really expensive. The original construction took roughly 8 years and employed somewhere between 20,000 and 100,000 workers at various stages, including slaves, freedmen, and professional craftsmen. Let's assume a modern project could be completed in 5 years with 2,000 skilled workers on site. Construction labour in major Western cities like Rome, London, or New York averages $50 to $80 per hour for general workers. Specialised stonemasons who can work with travertine structural engineers, crane operators, and artisan craftsmen command significantly higher rates, often exceeding $100 per hour. Over 5 years of continuous construction, labour costs alone could easily reach $400 to $600 million. And we haven't discussed the architects, project managers, safety compliance officers, and the army of consultants that modern megaprojects require. Environmental consultants, historical advisors, acoustical engineers, crowd flow specialists. Add another 50 to 100 million for professional services and project oversight. The ancient Colosseum had remarkably sophisticated systems that would need expensive modern equivalents. The hypogeum, that elaborate underground network of tunnels, animal cages, and mechanical elevators, would require extensive engineering. Archaeologists have identified at least 80 vertical shafts that could lift scenery, animals, and gladiators directly into the arena using counterweight systems. The velarium deserves special mention. This massive retractable awning shaded spectators from the brutal Mediterranean sun and required trained sailors to operate its complex rigging. Modern engineers remain impressed by its ingenuity. A contemporary equivalent using advanced tensile fabric technology would cost tens of millions alone. Modern building codes would demand fire suppression systems, emergency lighting, accessible entrances meeting disability requirements, structural seismic reinforcement, and electrical systems throughout. A venue seating 50,000 spectators would need thousands of restrooms with modern plumbing. Climate control could add $100 million. Modern audiences expect concession areas with commercial kitchens, VIP lounges, broadcast facilities, comprehensive security, and medical stations. These additions push costs dramatically higher. Try getting permits to build a 50,000-seat arena in any major city today. Environmental impact studies examining traffic patterns and wildlife disruption. Zoning variances requiring public hearings. Community input sessions stretching for years. Archaeological surveys mandated whenever you break ground in historic areas. Traffic studies analysing 50,000 people arriving and leaving simultaneously. The regulatory process alone could take a decade, costing tens of millions in consulting fees, legal representation, and endless revisions. And the land. The Colosseum sits on roughly 6 acres. Prime real estate in central Rome, London, or Manhattan would cost $200 million to over $1 billion. Emperor Vespasian had a distinct advantage. He simply seized the land from Nero's private gardens after the previous emperor's dramatic suicide. So let's add it up. Raw materials including stone, concrete and steel, $300 to $400 million. Construction labour over 5 years, $500 to $700 million. Specialised systems and modern requirements, $200 to $400 million. Land and permits, $300 million to $1 billion. Professional services and contingency, $200 to $300 million. Our grand total lands between $1.5 and $3 billion. Some engineering estimates suggest a truly faithful recreation using period-appropriate materials could exceed $5 billion. For comparison, SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles cost $5.5 billion. Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas came in at $1.9 billion. The Colosseum would compete directly with the most expensive sporting venues ever constructed. These numbers reveal something profound about Roman engineering and economic power. At its peak, the empire could mobilize resources on a scale that impresses us even with modern advantages. The ability to quarry, transport, and assemble materials from across the Mediterranean demonstrated logistical capabilities unmatched for over a millennium. The Colosseum wasn't just a building. It was a statement of imperial power, a massive jobs program, a propaganda tool demonstrating Rome's superiority, and a gift to the Roman people, providing free entertainment, all wrapped into one magnificent elliptical package. When Titus inaugurated the Flavian Amphitheatre in 80 AD, with 100 consecutive days of games, gladiatorial combat and animal hunts, he showed the world what Rome could accomplish. Nearly 2,000 years later, the Colosseum still asks us, could you do any better? We could probably build something functionally equivalent, but matching the cultural impact, engineering elegance, and sheer audacity of the original, that's much harder to answer. If you enjoyed this, subscribe and join us for more explorations of Rome's achievements. What ancient structure would cost the most to rebuild? Let me know in the comments. Until next time.